Tim had always been the type of person who enjoyed a quiet life. A simple man with simple pleasures, working from home, reading his books, and watching old movies. He had moved into his new house a year ago, a charming old place with creaky floors, an overgrown garden, and of course an attic. The attic had always intrigued him. It was a part of the house he hadn't bothered to explore yet, and to be honest, he preferred it that way. He had heard the rumors about the house when he bought it, of course. People talked about how strange it was, about how it had been abandoned for years before he moved in. But Tim wasn't one to buy into ghost stories or superstition. His logical mind dismissed those tales as nothing more than local folklore, passed down through generations of bored villagers. It wasn't until a month into living there that the first noise came. It was late, the kind of late where the world outside seemed to hold its breath. Tim had just finished a cup of tea and was settling into his chair when he heard it. A faint scuffling sound, like something dragging across the floor, coming from above. His heart skipped a beat. He froze, straining his ears to listen more closely. There it was again, unmistakable this time. A series of soft thuds, followed by a dragging sound. Tim's mind immediately began to race. It had to be the house settling, right? Old houses had their quirks, after all. He shrugged it off and returned to his book, though the noise lingered in the back of his mind like a ghost he couldn't quite shake. The next night, the sound came again, and the night after that. Every time, it started at exactly 2 a.m., without fail. Thud, drag, thud, drag. It seemed to echo down the walls, a slow, rhythmic beat that made Tim's skin crawl. He tried to ignore it, telling himself it was just the wind or the house shifting in the cold. But deep down, he knew something was off. Tim decided to investigate. He stood at the base of the staircase that led up to the attic, staring at the dusty door that had been locked since he'd moved in. He had never felt the urge to open it before. After all, what could possibly be up there? But now, the sound, the footsteps, had sparked something inside him. He had to know. What was making that noise? The door creaked open with an eerie groan as Tim pushed it. The stairs leading up to the attic were narrow, steep, and lined with peeling wallpaper. The air felt heavier here, as though the house itself was holding its breath. Tim grabbed the nearest flashlight and began to climb the stairs, the beam of light flickering in the darkness. With every step, the creaking sound grew louder. Thud, drag, thud, drag. It was closer now, as if whatever was making the noise was moving just above him, waiting. His heart raced, his palms sweaty against the cold metal of the flashlight. Tim reached the attic door. It was locked as he had expected, but it was an old-fashioned lock, a simple bolt that could be undone with a twist. He hesitated for a moment, feeling a sudden wave of unease. But curiosity pushed him forward, and he unlocked the door. The attic was exactly as he had imagined, a dusty, forgotten place full of old furniture, boxes, and cobwebs. But there was something else in the air, something unsettling. The footsteps, the dragging sound. It was louder now, unmistakable, as though the noise was coming from within the walls themselves. Tim walked deeper into the attic, shining the flashlight across the room. Suddenly, he stopped dead in his tracks. There, in the far corner of the attic, was an old rocking chair. It was moving slowly, back and forth, with no one in it. Tim's breath caught in his throat. The chair creaked with every motion, the wooden legs scraping across the floor. Thud, drag, thud, drag.